Kyle here from allmediareviews.blogspot.com. I'm kind of biting the bullet here because waiting and waiting and waiting for my CD to come in the mail. I wanted to show it all. I did a video showing the record, but this is about Marillion's album, An Hour Before It's Dark. And I have this week off, and yesterday wasn't in the cards, and today. So I'll just talk about the album itself, and I've listened to it enough. For the most part, I'm still kind of taking it in. You could say the same thing about the last record, but so this is, to my count, Marillion's 18th proper, actually it's their 17th proper studio album. 18 if you include B-sides themselves, you know, and I did the rankings. 18? No, 19 if you include, so it'd be the 18th. It'd be the 18th, I did 18. So, I mean, I showed the record. I didn't really talk. I talked briefly about it in a couple different videos. It's getting kind of like a lot of praise, sort of on the back end. I think there's a lot of fans that are kind of probably of my same feeling in that they like it, but they're not enthused by it. But there's other fans that didn't like Fear that are liking it more. It seems like it always frequently happens where you get people who don't like the last record then like the next one. Or vice versa, and if anything, I'm probably a little vice versa. But so I mean, I can go through the track list, I guess. You know, a lot of the biggest criticisms, even the people that really like this record, is the whole makeup, the whole uploading the tracks, the movements for these what is it, 1, 2, 4 different pieces on this record. And the moment that I realized that that it didn't. That there was only 7 tracks, and they were just, you know, suites or whatever, and they were going to release it. The download that came out to the people that pre-ordered on the Thursday before the release on the 4th of March, the moment I just decided to dismiss that anyway. I mean, Fear was the same way, actually, in a lot of, like, the New Kings, and El Dorado, and, The Levers. All those pieces were suites as well. So, the best parts, I'll just go on. My favorite parts of this record are, hold on. So, yeah, my favorite parts, and it wasn't surprising, it hasn't changed much. The suite, the Sierra Leone suite, which I did a little, just Googled it, and it's based on the title, the name is based on a country in would be the South? Yeah, I think it's the South. Is it South or North? I guess I don't. When you're on the other side of the equator, are you considered South? I guess if you're looking at the map where North America is, you know, North and South America is South, and you go further down, you're South. I assume that's South. It's the southwestern part of Africa. It's a small little country. Anyway. The people have mentioned the interpretations of Sierra Leone being about someone who finds a diamond, but what's really valuable in life is your relationships, or your, notes, reviews mention that. What's valuable is, there's other things that are valuable other than the diamond, but musically the piece just works. It's the piano, the string arrangements, and then just kind of the classic Marillion kind of moody, trippy sections that just, and I mean, unlike some other tracks on the last few records, it flows really well, and that's the song that I'm going to return to, and it's similar to the Levers. I would put that as the equivalent of the Levers on Fear. That's the standout composition on this album. I would say though, Be Hard on Yourself. That one works pretty well too. It's a great opening track. The build, the crescendo, especially toward the end, the rhythm, and the kind of the energy on that song. And then the other one that's grown on me a fair amount after listening to this album, I don't know, 7 or 8 times. The Crow and the Nightingales. I'm saying that was like a love letter an homage, a tribute to Leonard Cohen. I could take or leave Leonard Cohen. Of course, Jeff Buckley famously covered his song. Hallelujah, so be it. I like the piano, the use of piano, and the sort of moodiness of that piece as well. Although it's just that, and I'd say in the closing epic, Care, which is 15 minutes, have some great moments, especially. I think The Crow and the Nightingale, given the fact it's a shorter piece, just I enjoy a little bit more. Care, I'm trying to see if I can appreciate more and more the more I've heard it, and it's got, you know, the 4 movements or whatever. I think it's an hour before it's dark is the second movement, is the part that I like. About 5.5 minutes, you get to a really great, kind of trippy, goosebump-worthy part. Angels on the Earth, I don't know, it's definitely, there's cases of bands that I love and singers that I love that get to be where the lyrics themselves and the vocal arrangements get to be a little, not preachy, but just, they overpower, they supersede the actual part of the music that I love. And I'm not saying that's terrible. There's been much worse cases, even on the song like Lucky Man from Songs That Can't Be Made, or, you know, I just, you know, the music just kind of takes a backseat. I'm not that into it. It's all right. I mean, it's just sort of like the ending of sort of belief of what's happened. There's a lot of social and political stuff, obviously, which is not new for Marillion. They've frequently, and Hogarth, written lyrics. The other people that have written lyrics for them have written not so much introspective, some of it introspective, but some of it, and somewhat abstract, but some of it a little more pointing toward what is going on with them, with their lives, and then where they live, you know, globally, of course. You know, you think about El Dorado and some of these other pieces. It just gets to be a little bit, not religious, but it's sort of talking about the end of civilization, human civilization on Earth. If we don't, we're worried about the, you know, between COVID and climate change / the environment, you know. You know, they do echo, so they must echo part of An Hour Before It's Dark in Care, and also Murder Machines. I know they have that, I Put My Arms Around You. Honestly, having listened to that song enough times, I could see why it was released as a single. At the same time, it's, I'm not saying it's just like sort of egregious isn't the right word, but as repulsive as some of their other songs. It's like See It Like a Baby off Somewhere Else, or you know, No One Can, or, you know, it's not corny. It's just this sort of, Hogarth is singing at a deeper range on that track. That's part of it. The hook in it is, while it's memorable, it's not as moving at this point. Maybe it will hit me over that at some point. Maybe seeing it live or hearing it live would make a difference. I'm not sure. I don't hate Murder Machines. I don't find it to be that great. Only a Kiss is just a little ditty, a little vignette. I mentioned that, I think, before when I was talking about initially about this. And then there's Reprogram the Gene, which initially was clearly my least favorite track on here. And it's, of course, it's a suite as well. It's 3 parts. I like parts of it. It's a little bit like Care in that there's moments that I enjoy. It's grown on me a little bit, but it's still my least favorite. So it's weird. It's like there's definitely records by Marillion. Well, Fear, I didn't think so much. But like Sounds That Can't Be Made, especially, like Lucky Man, where they've had certain songs, or See It Like a Baby, or Most Toys off of Somewhere Else. Well, see, those are not the best examples. Where, you know, like Cannibal Surf Babe, that's a good example, a good comparison. That when I initially heard The Freight of Sunlight, that was the red herring. I didn't love it. Then over time, I started to like it more. Or like Built-In Bastard Radar off Marillion.com. And so I don't know if at some point Reprogram the Gene will grow on me. Because I don't hate it. I'm not in love with it. But this is a record, clearly, where there aren't songs I'm repulsed by. Like, I was initially just repulsed by Lucky Man. I just thought this song was supposed to be like a Beatles Abbey Road element. I don't find any of the songs repulsive on here. I'm just finding like it's sort of, it's like some highlights, but a lot of mid-level. Which ultimately makes this better than some of the records for me, but not as good. And at this point, I can't say I enjoyed as much as Fear even. I do think there's a similar element to Fear, though, where they're in love with the whole wall of sound, kind of textures, kind of brooding, methodical songwriting, which, you know, that's kind of their shtick, mostly. I mean, I mentioned when I first heard it, it's like, well, they've written strong choruses and poppy moments in some of their songs, but then the last 20 years almost, they really haven't done as much of that. They haven't stressed that and come up with like a pop banger that they had previously. So it's like there's like 2, 3, 4 sides to Marillion. The poppy side of Marillion isn't all that present on here. The atmospheric side is definitely present. The kind of trippy, goosebump worthy, rewarding moments are on here. The lyrical side's on here. The proggy side is on here to a point. It's not that technical, but the pieces are, there's 4 suites, so that's, an element of prog or whatever. So it's kind of similar to how I felt like about Pepe Deluxe's album last year, where I'm not disappointed in this album, but at the same time, at this point, I'm not attached to it. I'll keep going back to it. I think part of it is there's have these slew of records that have come out that I've wanted to love and liked a little more. Now, I concluded the 3 records that have come out in the last couple of weeks that I could attach one more. They're all pretty good records, but none of them have hit me over the head, and that doesn't happen as much as it used to. So, but I know a lot of people are talking about An Hour Before It's Dark, and when we get the CD, I'll show the CD. My CD is not signed. I had to compromise just because they wanted to buy this vinyl from the pre-order, which who knows if I'd still even have it since I don't have my CD. Was an additional, I think, $30 to ship it. So I was like, why? And I just bought this through Amazon. As Dave Richardson had mentioned to me on a comment that I think it was, he mentioned to me on Facebook. He said that he had found they had 3 or 4 copies of maybe both the vinyl and the CD, at least the CD, at Down the Valley. So I'm guessing some of the other record stores in town have it. But I ordered it. I wanted to at least buy one of the copies from the band, and I bought every CD and not every vinyl, but I've meant to buy every vinyl from my favorite band. So. Yeah, that's kind of my take on An Hour Before It's Dark. Is it the last Marillion album? Even though it's been 6 years since Fear, and, I was mentioning a couple weeks ago how their output has been a lot lower than it was in the, in the 90s and in the 2000s. I kind of think they have more in them. I don't know if they're kind of comfortable in this style and they're doing other things. Rothery's got his own band. Peter Robbins has a couple projects, including Transatlantic. So I don't know if this is the last Marillion album. Like the last Fates Warning album is probably the last Fates Warning. It's kind of a sad thing to see in some ways because they're my favorite band I've loved for 20 plus years, well over 20 years. Just to have them not release, I don't know. I think that they probably will. They're not young, but they're not super old. I think. They could be making albums for a couple more years at least. I could see at least 1 or 2 more. But I don't know if it is, they have a great legacy. 18, or they want to call it 20 albums total is remarkable. It's a prolific, fulfilling career with, there's no band that I like more records from. And, some of the records continue to grow on me. I still think albums like Fear and Happiness is the Road, and probably this one, and some of the ones I'm not as high on, like Sounds That Can't Be Made and Somewhere Else even, could still grow on me. I think Radiation is proof of that, and like Anarachnophobia. Those are records I love even more than when they first came out. So, but yeah, that's kind of my take on the new. We'll see the new Marillion album, An Hour Before It's Dark. We'll see where I'm feeling about it come end of the year and stuff like that. And it's not necessarily fair to compare it to other albums that came out the year and other albums in their catalog. Every album is just supposed to be a time capsule for an artist. But as a fan, you just kind of like to do this because you're a geek and, that's what we do, right? So I guess I could say a couple more things. Like I was talking about other records. I should make another video quickly here. But yeah, I have some more records that I'm going to do a review of. Team Me for sure. And then there's a record from last year that I've been getting into. And I have the next 3 days off. So hopefully I'll have time to do that if I don't do it today. But thank you for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't subscribed. If you subscribed recently, I really appreciate that. And please give me your take on An Hour Before It's Dark, and we'll see you next time.